Hey everybody, Matt Johnston here, back with another COVID-19 legal update. A couple of things that should be discussed for independent contractors, self-employed, folks like that who are in Maryland. You are now eligible and available to start filing for unemployment assistance. The pandemic unemployment program is available. The Maryland Department of Labor's Division of Unemployment Insurance does have those applications up. They're available through the website. And I strongly encourage folks to go there and start looking at that. This week, we're going to be looking at Governor Hogan's plan for returning back to some semblance of normal, or at least starting to reopen the state. And there's a few things that are going to be discussed in that plan. Among them is the availability of testing, the availability of hospitals to handle any kind of surge in terms of patients who need to be in more intensive medical care or receive medical care in a hospital setting, some robust contact tracing, things of that nature. We will see what those details look like, and they're based in part upon what President Trump has put out. Now, one of the interesting things about President Trump's plan that was announced last week is that the first pillar of that plan is a focus on making sure workplaces are safe. And for that reason, I strongly encourage people to start taking a look at both the CDC websites and OSHA's websites for guidance on how to make your workplace safe. Now, there's no such thing as perfect safety, but I do want to remind everybody, it doesn't matter what kind of employer you are, you have a general duty, according to OSHA legislation and OSHA regulations, a general duty to keep your workplace safe for your employees to the extent that you are able. So one of the big questions that's going to start coming up is, A, how do I do that? So that may involve extra cleaning, that may involve different kinds of cleaning. It may also involve providing personal protection equipment for your employees, things like masks, gloves, other PPE that may be necessary or required. And it also may entail something that a lot of employers have never had to do before because you're not big enough, and that is conducting an ADA, or Americans with Disability Act, assessment or conversation with your employees about how to make them safe or what accommodations might be necessary. So the accommodation standards are one that you have to take a look at. There is some interesting information. I'm going to put some links down below on kinds of accommodations, things that you can do to help your workers. So an easy one, if they're eligible for working remotely, so through teleworking, that's going to be strongly encouraged both by federal, state, and local governments. But if they're not able to work remotely, you're going to be looking at trying to make sure that there are standards available for PPE. There's also going to be standards about workplace separation. An interesting story, heard this from my father, so I don't have actual confirmation, but as I understand it, a meat processing plant in South Dakota and one in Georgia were shut down because a very, very large number of workers were diagnosed with COVID-19. Now that creates an interesting problem from a food supply and logistics standpoint, but here's an interesting thing that I want people to realize. You can have your workspaces be very, very safe, or as safe as you can make them. You can enforce 10, 12, 15 feet between employees, PPE, all kinds of stuff, but that kind of protections are absolutely useless if nobody uses those same protections when they go into the company break room or they go into the company bathroom. So you are going to have to look beyond simply the workspaces, but also common areas within your business in order to keep those safe. So OSHA has some great standards. CDC has some useful information. The Maryland State Department of Health also has some information. And I'm going to put a link below to a website that has some really cool stuff dealing with potential accommodations that are available. It's not legal advice there, and it's not necessarily legal things, but it is some creative ways that you can look at accommodations for employees. And I also encourage employers to start being mindful. Some employees are going to be excited to get back to work. Some employees are going to be very reluctant to get back into the office or into the workspace. So you are going to have to address the issues of somebody's not insignificant and probably quite legitimate fear about contracting COVID-19 and their reluctance or even refusal to come to work. If you have questions about that, give me a call. We can walk through some options. In the meantime, check out the show notes below, and I hope everybody is staying safe and happy. Talk to y'all later. Bye.